What up, 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 my beautiful people? What up, my beautiful people? Of course, my camera deactivated. I have no idea why it does that. I'm dark. Why am I dark today? Niceness tupu. Anywho, it's another day, another stream. Nothing interesting is happening in my life so far. Group projects are about the worst thing you can ever do. Especially if there's something that is not you're not paid to do. It's a personal project. Ugh. Sumbana tu na watu bure. But anyway, njira patikana, self-sustaining, whatever. Nasina no sandaza kuandika no sasa. Jimani nakosa talking points asubuhi kianza inaka weird. Going off the dome. Niliona J mahali hapa. Sio kama alienda offline. A very faithful viewer. Very faithful, very concurrent. Angalia kwenye alisema ataanza kustream tena ndio tuwa opinion yake. On raid or something. Tulia tu hivi unasikia tu umeraidiwa. Anywho, it's another beautiful day. It's day what? It's today. I don't know what's late. Saa 7. Maybe ni create a concurrent viewership whatever. On a Tuesday the 13th. Lunchtime. Apparently leo tunainama, but anyway sawa. Sina mambo mingi. Hapo leo ndakona content. Juu ikianza kubwa sitakuwa na post YouTube. But I have a YouTube channel, same name everywhere, same Instagram, same what? A TikTok. I haven't had a Facebook once, but I don't really do Facebook. Wacha watu wazee watanipata huko. Itawafikia tu if I try it now. Itawafikia tu eventually. Greetings for wherever you're coming from. Today I have a lot of content. I hope I can get through all of them. Kila siku nakujanga hivyo. Hii nilikuwa nimeanza jana ndo nilisema tutaanza nayo leo. Kama ulikuwa hapa jana ama niko shonda post nini eventually YouTube utaiona tu. Stories from Kenya. Arises for pesa mafia. Hii kwanza tuweke tu hapa. Bang. Daiona siku yake. Now, yes. The dirtiest banks in Kenya, drug money laundering and tax evasion. What? The dirtiest banks in Kenya, drug money laundering and tax evasion. Meiona? You seen it? Let's get it. Papa percentage. Not a challenge.
Action limits. For
Nini? Disclaimer: the content is for entertainment informational purposes only. Will aim to use reliable sources. Viewers should conduct their own research and not rely solely on this information. We are not liable for any inaccuracies or damages arising for its use. All that party content falls under fair use provisions of Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Got that?
Imagine a bank where you could open an account under a fake name, no ID, no transaction limits.
Koniko is Sweden. Fake name, fake everything. What?
For criminals, tax evaders, and anyone seeking to hide their wealth, this wasn't a fantasy. It was reality at Charterhouse Bank. Through its shadowy operations, billions flowed through hidden accounts, enabling some of the largest corporations like Nakumatt and Tuskys to dodge taxes.
Hizi ni mbili zilianguka. Zilianguka kwa sababu ya hii nini?
At their peak, SportPesa was the fastest money laundering, most visibly international brand in Kenya's history. From sponsoring Premier League sides tied to powerful figures like John Arun Mwau added a darker edge to the scandal. By the time the full extent of the bank's misdeeds came to light, even the US ambassador estimated the damage at 60 billion shillings lost through financial malpractice at Charterhouse. In this episode, we'll uncover how a relatively small bank, holding less than 1% of Kenya's market share, became central to one of the country's largest financial...
Obviously, bank hizi funguliwa kwa anybody, nilikuwa nasema jana. Hizi kwa imefunguliwa for anybody. Hii sasa ni the cream of the cream. Niko na najua mtu cheaper. Bugia najua mtu cheaper, najua uko na connections, mimi sina connections. Uko na connections.
Scandals of money laundering and tax evasion, even attracting the attention of the FBI.
Okay. If you attract the attention of the FBI, you know you messed up. Hapo ndo unajua umemess.
Be sure to like the video if you enjoy it and subscribe to the channel for more stories from Kenya. Charterhouse Bank's story began in 1996 when it took over operations of Middle East Kenya Finance Limited, officially becoming a full-fledged bank in 1998. From its inception,
Miskumbuki bank. What? 1988.
Charterhouse catered to Kenya's wealthiest individuals and corporations. For those seeking a discreet way to move vast sums of money away from watchful eyes of the Kenya Revenue Authority or the Central Bank of Kenya, Charterhouse Bank was the ultimate partner. A key player in the bank's ownership was Ram Trust, which held a majority stake. Ram Trust was the parent company for several businesses, including Kingsway Tires, Charterhouse Bank, Creative Innovation, and Village Market.
Designer the same.
Including Kingsway Tires, Charterhouse Bank, Creative Innovation, and Village Market, making it integral to the bank's operations. But Charterhouse's most pivotal relationship was with Nakumatt. 8 out of Charterhouse's bank's 10 branches were strategically placed inside Nakumatt stores. On the surface, this setup seemed like a customer convenience, but it served a more calculated purpose. Through its connection with Charterhouse Bank, Nakumatt allegedly underreported its revenues, evading billions in taxes. The numbers painted a shocking picture.
What?
Nakumatt alone paid 10 times less VAT than its struggling competitor, Uchumi. All this was enabled by Nakumatt also having partial ownership in Charterhouse Bank. The situation was further complicated by John Arun Mwau, who held a 7.7 stake in Nakumatt through his company Hotnet. According to the US Embassy reports, Hotnet was also linked to William Kabogo, another stakeholder in the retail chain.
Mafia.
Both Mwau and Kabogo faced allegations of involvement in trafficking narcotics and money laundering.
Under investigation with drug trafficking are Hassan Joe, Aaron Mwau, William Kabogo, Mbube Sonko, Saitoti. Umesikiza majina zimetajwa hapo? Umesikiza majina?
Activities specifically related to the funding of the 2005 referendum campaign for the NARC coalition. Whistleblowers also claimed that Mwau and Kabogo had interests in Charterhouse Bank, reportedly using proxies to conceal their stakes. Charterhouse Bank's first major scandal emerged in 2001, centered around a dormant company called Crucial Properties.
Hawa sasa walikuwa wanafanya hii biashara aje? Hii ile story fulani niliona ilikuwa movie ya India ngapi? Wanaenda kwa kaburi, wanachukua majina za watu, hizo majina wanachukua kwa social security numbers zao na vitu zao zote, wanaenda wana register banks nao. Lakini sasa unapata wewe uko na like 100 people wenye wote wako worth 50 million. 50 million times 100 people ni pesa ngapi? Bilioni moja times it by how many ever people there are there.
The company, owned by Humphrey Karaoke, famous for his high-profile properties like the Hub Karen and Fairmont Mount Kenya Safari Club, deposited an eye-watering 2 billion shillings into its account. The funds originated from Liechtenstein, immediately raising red flags at the CBK and drawing...
Exactly. Ati atoe 2 billion atoe wapi? Kwenye sasa pesa inasafiri red flag.
The attention of the FBI. To grasp the sheer scale of this sum, if you had 1 billion in 201 and spent 100,000 shillings every single day, you'd still have over 100 million left in 2024. The CBK suspected that these funds were linked to criminal activities. However, Humphrey Karaoke claimed that the money was a legitimate loan meant for property investments. The investigation stalled when a court lifted the freeze order on the account as investigations took too long. Within hours, nearly the entire 2 billion was withdrawn from the account, leaving just 15 million behind. With the money gone, the investigation effectively ended. In 2003, Peter Odhiambo, a former Barclays auditor who had just joined Charterhouse Bank as an internal auditor, began his role with routine tasks of reviewing the bank's financial records. From the moment he began going over its books, Odhiambo immediately sensed something was amiss. At first, the irregularities seemed subtle. Accounts missing proper documentation and transactions that seemed deliberately concealed from regulators. However, as he dug deeper, the extent of the financial misdeeds became undeniable. Charterhouse was not just a bank. It had become a gateway for billions of shillings in tax evasion and money laundering. In 2005, Odhiambo presented his evidence to the CBK governor, Andrew Mulei, prompting the formation of a joint task force with the Kenya Revenue Authority and Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission. Their investigation uncovered that Charterhouse was costing Kenya billions annually in lost taxes. He uncovered 85 secret accounts that were moving a staggering 20 billion annually. These accounts were being used by high-profile clients to hide significant sums of money from the tax authorities. Nakumatt, the dominant supermarket chain in Kenya, was one of the most prominent clients. Despite reporting no profits for 6 consecutive years, Nakumatt had managed to evade 18 billion shillings in taxes by concealing its revenue in secret accounts. It funneled over 1.25 billion through shadowy networks using accounts linked to companies like Fresh and Juicy. Tuskys, another large supermarket chain, was also involved through its parent company, Tusker Mattresses, which held 75 accounts that shielded 4.3 billion in undeclared
revenue. 75 personal accounts. Hii ni majina tu unapatanga tu ni na random company, random bank account iko na random name. Iko na 15 million. Unashinda 15 million kwa ni ya guzi. Kwa ni 15 million na imuashi iko hapo.
Furthermore, W.E. Tilly, a company involved in fish export, had reported only its Kenyan sales while secretly hiding 5.9 billion in credits from operations in Tanzania and beyond. W.E. Tilly would later become embroiled in the collapse of Imperial Bank, but that's a story for another video.
Okay.
The scandal also implicated Triton Petroleum. Known for its involvement in the 7.6 billion fuel scandal, Triton Petroleum
hizi makampuni zinatajwa hapo hivi mzee. Hapo uko ndo pesa za Kenya zote ziko. Yenyewe mimi niko informed and
funneled large sums, including a mysterious 50 million shilling transfer into accounts belonging to one Sonal Devani, using incomplete documentation and no account opening forms. The bank repeatedly flouted regulations, particularly the Banking Act's single borrower limit, by lending amounts far beyond the allowed 25% of its core capital to its favored clients. Nakumatt was one of the biggest beneficiaries of these loans, with the internal management even issuing unsecured loans to themselves at no interests.
Okay. So
Accounts
anachukua loan alafu waiki interest alafu anakula yote. Ama hivyo ndo anachukua hiyo pesa anasema inapeanwa huku alafu anajichukulia kama loan.
Were riddled with fictitious details, transactions were split to evade detection, and enormous cash deposits and withdrawals went unverified. Notably, a handful of accounts stood out. Sailesh Prajapati, for example, processed over 2.2 billion in cash transactions over a period of just 5 years. Odyssey's enterprise, with no discernible commercial activity, cycled 1 billion in deposits and withdrawals within just 10 months.
Turn on my chart. What? Just
the scandal
in the building for a long time. Nasija notice hadi. Alright, man, talk to me. Twitch overlay, Twitch overlay, not this one. Sorry, man, I'm being focused on these things. The monies that are being
was not confined to Kenya. It had international implications as well. Among the most suspicious accounts were those linked to Italian businessman Paolo Santanino.
Who?
These accounts had been opened without proper documentation and were structured to evade scrutiny, with transfers being kept under $10,000 and laden with falsified
10,000 USD. This is a raise flags because this is 10,000 imetoka wapi? Watamwambia tunatuma 999
details to cover their tracks. Charterhouse's leadership was also deeply involved in the scandal. Kingsway Motor Group processed billions of shillings through questionable transactions. One of the most notable figures tied to Charterhouse Bank was John Harun Mwau, a powerful businessman and politician, was later designated as a global narcotics kingpin by the US government. Mwau's operations allegedly included laundering drug money through Charterhouse Bank, as well as evading import duties on goods that were smuggled into Kenya and sold through Nakumatt supermarkets.
Okay.
At the time, Mwau was one of the top importers of electronics and other goods. Among his more notorious holdings was Pepe Enterprises, a shipping container depot believed to be a major transit point for narcotics. However, Mwau denied all these allegations and even sued the Nation Media Group for defamation for linking him to narcotics trafficking and tax evasion.
The young people or children who are reading newspaper today at the age of 8, 9, 10, and they are seeing my name or my picture in the television saying that I'm a drug peddler. Even when they are 30 years, 20 years from today, they will be viewing me as such.
Honestly, we do not care about you.
House must protect my integrity and those of others.
He was later cleared as there was no evidence to confirm the claims.
Upon the completion of the investigation, it was confirmed that the Honorable Mwau has never been linked to narcotic drugs trafficking.
Just because he hasn't never been linked doesn't mean it didn't
With
happen,
mounting evidence
allegedly.
of the extent of money laundering and tax evasion facilitated by Charterhouse Bank, Governor Andrew Mulay took decisive action. In 2006, he recommended the bank's license be revoked. Writing to Finance Minister Amos Kimonya, Mulay emphasized the severity of the bank's non-compliance and its role in enabling widespread financial crimes. His recommendation was based on the findings of his internal investigation, which had uncovered shocking evidence of illegal activities. However, the response to Mulay's report was not expected. Within 2 days of his recommendation to close the bank, Mulay was already BK governor. The charges against him were related to nepotism, specifically hiring his son as a consultant in the investigation task force with a $36,000 contract to assist in the investigation. A leaked WikiLeaks letter from one of the 4 consultants suggested that the arrest...
So nepotism is illegal in Kenya? Okay. That is a very interesting fact to know. Because the way things were going, I have no idea that it was illegal. It is illegal. Interesting.
Was a deliberate attempt to derail their investigations into Charterhouse.
See, I have a theory on what happened. First of all, when I investigate the creme de la creme of the country, the high table sitters, were exposed, number 1. Number 2, there's no way wao say wanakubali kukalie top seats kama hawana data on you. So if you don't play ball, they know how to get you. Number 3, why would you do that knowingly? Tunataka kutengeneza, wanataka kupatia kijana yako connections. Na kitu yenye ni clear itaonekana hata kama utajaribu kuficha kuna venye lazima tunini. Number 4, since it happened that this guy they had data on this guy, since they had data on this guy, hakuna venye wangemwachilia afanye nini. Juu unasikia pesa sasa zinapotea 18 billion kwa mtu mmoja. Sasa imagine wenye tujui. They always have data on somebody. You can't sit in high places without people not knowing that on you.
Noted that his son was highly qualified with a strong financial background, and that nepotism charges, although not to be condoned, were trivial in comparison to the massive financial crimes that had been uncovered. The timing of Mulay's suspension was also suspect. Under the CBK Act, the governor could only be dismissed if convicted of a crime or by an order from the president.
See how convenient it is? Conviction of a crime or a president. Lakini kuna venye hiyo time niko sure nani ya kwanga yako ameingiza kwa hizi deals. When was this? I think Kibaki ndo alikuwa president this time. Aka ameingiza ngoni hizi mangori mambo mingi. So it's convenient that the one crime that can be convicted of, that is suspended of, is found.
Neither of these conditions were met in Mulay's case, raising suspicion that the arrest was politically motivated, aimed at halting investigation into Charterhouse Bank. Meanwhile, Peter Odhiambo, the internal auditor who had blown the whistle on the scandal, faced escalating threats. His Charterhouse Bank and Nakumatt Holdings in significant tax evasion and money laundering activities. In June 2006, amid growing pressure and heightened scrutiny, the Central Bank of Kenya placed Charterhouse Bank under statutory management. The move effectively froze the bank's operations, and investigations into its illicit dealings were launched officially. At the time of its closure, Charterhouse Bank had around $3 billion in assets and around 4,600 deposit accounts. The Charterhouse saga took an even darker turn in September 2006 when a mysterious fire broke out at the bank's Nairobi offices.
Mysterious.
The flames destroyed critical documents, many of which were believed to hold the key to unraveling the full scope of the bank's illegal activities. Investigators
ignore
the timing. It came months into the deepening investigation. The auditors later confirmed the fire's devastating impact, explaining that the destruction of the records significantly hindered their ability to trace the flow of illicit funds.
Convenient.
This left much of the scandal shrouded in uncertainty, with earlier claims. claims now harder to substantiate. Though arson was widely suspected, no conclusive evidence was ever found and no arrests were made. Amid these challenges, Kenya took a significant step forward by enacting the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act in 2009, coming into effect in June 2010. The law aimed to prevent, detect, and punish money laundering, establishing a framework that had long been missing during Charterhouse Bank's peak operation.
Okay.
By
in operation for at least 10 years. At least.
Frustrations among Charterhouse Bank's depositors was at an all-time high. Yatta MP Charles Kilonzo joined 35 angry customers in petitioning Parliament to reopen the bank. They argued that the closure was unfair, leaving depositors unable to access their money. Parliament appeared to side with the public, highlighting the struggles of those locked out of over $3 billion in frozen deposits.
The committee says allegations leveled against the bank, including drug trafficking, could not be supported by evidence adduced before it. The committee said the bank may have violated sections of the Banking Act, just like other banks often do, but while others were let off the hook, Charterhouse Bank closed. Okemo says all government agencies that appeared before the committee absolved Charterhouse Bank of these allegations. Seemingly irate backbenchers took a swipe at U.S. Ambassador Michael Ranneberger for his continued push for closure of the bank. And the government for allegedly bowing to foreign pressure.
It was almost as if everyone had selective amnesia about the initial audit by PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Exactly.
The report revealed shocking details, including the fact that 839 accounts lacked basic documentation, like account opening forms or customer details.
Exactly.
Even as billions of shillings moved through them. Former Finance Minister Amos Kimunya firmly opposed the reopening of the bank, warning it could destabilize Kenya's financial system. U.S. Ambassador Michael Ranneberger echoed these fears, arguing that reopening the bank would harm Kenya's efforts to fight money laundering and protect its global financial reputation.
It's a problem that really does threaten the entire fabric of the country. And of course, it's related to impunity. When people launder funds, when people use container terminals to bring in goods, when people pay officials off, it's all part and parcel of this culture of impunity. So drug trafficking, corruption,
as they call
impunity, it's all one and the same thing, really.
In the end, the Central Bank of Kenya stood its ground, refusing to budge. Despite missing evidence, they knew too much about the bank's questionable operations to allow its return. The mysterious fire in 2006 had destroyed key evidence, making it difficult to fully uncover the extent of Charterhouse Bank's wrongdoings. This left the case marred in uncertainty. The bank's closure also exposed how heavily some businesses depended on it. Nakumatt, once a leading retail chain, suffered serious financial blows when it lost access to its accounts and loans, a factor that contributed to its eventual collapse. After a couple of years, a major announcement came on May 2021. The Central Bank of Kenya decided to liquidate Charterhouse Bank, assigning the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, KDIC, to manage the process. They prioritized compensating depositors with balances up to 500,000. Yet, in 2024, the liquidation remains incomplete. Many depositors are still waiting for their money, stuck in a seemingly endless process. And that is the story of Charterhouse Bank, arguably Kenya's dirtiest bank. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, share your thoughts in the comment section, and subscribe for more stories from Kenya.
There's no way hiyo pesa wataipata tena. Ana hiyo regime yenye tuko nayo sasa hii. Ikawa ni 500,000. Imagine uko na depot zingi. Unakwenda wale watu na kama mafutani. Uko na 15 million huko unataka kununua ka plot mahali kujijini kwa sababu sisi shamba zinauzwa sijui ka nini. What? Alafu uambe utapaya 500,000 na 500,000 yenyewe hujaiona hadi. What? Inaweza kuwa bad. Inaweza kuwa very bad. Excuse me. Ajaja rudi. Kwa dhani namuignore but ni sawa. Ile correct tunaweza do. Nione Ngori reports ama nione SportPesa. Hizo SportPesa ni refu vizuri. Acha nione inside the mind of William Ruto, Kenya most calculated politician. Moses Kadhoga. Jamaa namonanga TikTok. Oh, amuone. This one. Jamaa namonanga TikTok. Inside the mind of William Ruto, Kenya's most calculated politician. So kama video zake ni tamu kama TikToks. Ama na kama music clip. Like the way I do. I'm gonna TikTok kaza ni clip flop. Lakini seriously, mbona TikTok hiyo hapo hiyo?
Him now on Twitter and the streets, on dictator, Kasongo, Zakayo, dictator, thief. That's what they call him now. On Twitter and the streets, on protest chants, in memes. But 10 years ago, he was a hustler, the man of the people, the boy from Sugoi who rose from selling chickens by the roadside to sitting on the highest and most powerful seat in the land. So what happened? How did William
Goja, sio set kitu. Very dangerous. Karibuni sahau. Nini?
Ruto become the most hated
What? Imecrash.
Kasongo, Zakayo, dictator, thief. That's what they call him now. On Twitter, in the streets, on protest chants, in memes. But 10 years ago, he was a hustler. The man of the people. The boy from Sugoi who rose from selling chickens by the roadside to sitting on the highest and most powerful seat in the land. So what happened? How did William Samoei Ruto become the most hated and the most powerful man in Kenya? This is not just about scandals and policies. This is about who he is, how he was made, what shaped him, and why Kenya keeps giving power to men like him.
The problem, before his prime.
William Ruto was born in 1966 in Kamagut village in Uasin Gishu County. No political dynasty, no famous name. Just a boy raised in a small rural town, learning to survive by selling chickens at the roadside. His story begins with hunger. Real hunger. Hunger to eat. Hunger to be seen. Hunger to never be poor again. He joins the University of Nairobi studying botany and zoology. But it's not the lectures that shape him. It's the streets, the politics, the ambition. And in 1992, he's recruited to join a machine that would change his life forever. Youth for KANU 92, or YK 92. This was not a political movement. It was a cash-fueled, violence-powered campaign tool designed to keep Daniel Arap Moi in power. YK92 taught him the real rules of Kenya's politics. Buy loyalty, crash opposition, and protect power at all costs. He wasn't the most senior member, but he was one of the most loyal and most feared. And when Moi won, the rewards flowed. Briefcases full of cash, backdoor deals, appointments. But politics is cruel. In 1997, Ruto shocks everyone by running for MP in Eldoret North against Moi's own cousin, and he wins. It's the first sign. Ruto is not just a loyalist, he's a climber, he's a survivor. By 2002, Moi tries to force Uhuru Kenyatta onto the country. Ruto switches sides. He backs Raila, then Kibaki, then Raila again. To Ruto, loyalty is temporary. But power is permanent.
Okay,
The 2007 election is chaos. Kenya is burning. Over 1,000 people were killed and thousands displaced. And in the middle of it all, William Samoei Ruto. He was on Raila's side, part of the Pentagon, Raila's trusted circle. But behind the scenes, Ruto was already carving his own path. He mobilizes the Rift Valley to vote for Raila. He brings in huge numbers and expects big rewards. But when the power sharing agreement is signed after the violence, Ruto feels shortchanged. He wants more than a ministry. He wants control. And for many, that election exposes a dark side of him. In 2010, the ICC charges him with crimes against humanity, accused of orchestrating some of the post-election violence in Rift Valley. The case alleges that he had a network, a plan, and power over youth militias. But Ruto doesn't crumble. He fights back, turning the ICC charges into political capital. He spins the narrative. This is not about justice. This is just targeting me because I'm a poor man's son. It works. Sympathy grows and he makes a very bold move. He joins forces with Uhuru Kenyatta, who was also facing ICC charges. Two men, both indicted. One Kikuyu, one Kalenjin. Old enemies now turned allies. They formed the Jubilee Alliance, branding it as unity after violence. In 2013, they win the election. It's one of the biggest political comebacks in Kenya's history. But under the surface, tensions are already building. William Ruto is now the deputy president. But don't let that title fool you. He's more than just a deputy. He runs government like a co-president. He demands control over cabinet appointments, state departments, and lucrative tenders. Those close to Uhuru, they say that Ruto has an eye for everything that moves money. Those close to Ruto say that he's doing the heavy lifting as Uhuru plays nice and disappears. But behind the scenes, allegations start piling up. First one, the Weston Hotel scandal. A hotel linked to Ruto.
I remember this one.
land belonging to Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. It's grabbed public land, but the court confirms it. Ruto says, I bought it from someone else. I did not know if it was grabbed, but he still owns it. Langata Primary School tear gas incident in 2015. Children protesting
of
the grabbing of their school's playground are tear gassed. But the land is linked with developers with ties to Ruto's circle. The outrage is national, but no one takes responsibility. The hustler versus dynasty narrative begins. This is when the branding genius in Ruto starts to show. He brands himself as a hustler, a poor man who fought his way to the top. It's genius. He contrasts himself with the dynasties. Uhuru, son of a president, Raila, son of a vice president, and Moi's legacy. He's not just prepping for 2022. He's already running. But trouble brews. Uhuru begins to pull away. The bromance is cooling. Ruto skips states functions. Uhuru stops mentioning his deputy in speeches.
Okay.
The Jubilee Party fractures. Meanwhile, the opposition is burning too. Raila loses in 2017. Claims the elections were stolen. Swears himself in as the people's president. Then the shocker, Uhuru and Raila shake hands. The famous handshake on March 9, 2018. And that's the day Ruto becomes an outsider in his own government. No one saw it coming. Not Ruto, not Jubilee, not even Raila's close allies. But the message is clear. Uhuru was done with Ruto. And now, Ruto was alone. Suddenly, key government functions start excluding him. Cabinet meetings go on without him. His allies are stripped from parliamentary leadership roles. His budget is slashed. Security detail withdrawn. He's even locked out of some government buildings. Publicly, he's still the deputy president. But practically, he has been exiled. But
so I'll steal the script.
Ruto doesn't fold. He doubles down. He reinvents himself. Sunday after Sunday, Ruto hits churches across the country, donates millions, gets front row seats. Pastors pray for him. He turns the pulpit into a political platform. Critics say he's laundering his image through the church. Supporters say he's one of us. He fears God. Ruto unveils a new ideology, the bottom-up economic plan. He says it's about empowering mamambogas, bodabodas, and hustlers. But was it really? Critics call it a buzzword. Vague, populist, convenient. But it works. Because Ruto's branding is laser sharp. He's no longer a Moi boy. He's no longer the Jubilee deputy president. He's a hustler, fighting dynasties, fighting the system that wants to keep the poor. He forms the United Democratic Alliance. Yellow.
Marketing is everything. Nimeanza kurealize tangu recently, marketing is everything.
Wheelbarrow logo, Hustler Nation vibes. By the time the BBI is introduced, Ruto is the face of the resistance, and the ground is with him. Even as he positions himself as the messiah of the poor, more scandals surface. Parole and Kimorel Dams scandal. Billions disappear in planned dam projects. Treasury CS Henry Rotich is arrested. Ruto calls it a political witch hunt. But leaked documents suggest links to companies connected to Ruto's allies. A fake arms deal, the Echesa scandal. Former sports CS Rashid Echesa is caught in a 39 billion shillings fake arms deal. The deal allegedly takes place at Ruto's Harambee Annex office. The CCTV footage places the suspects there. Ruto says he had nothing to do with it. Land and tender deals. MPs raise questions about Ruto-linked companies receiving road and government tenders. Nothing sticks in court, but public perception is shifting. People are whispering. Uhuru starts openly campaigning against Ruto. He says that leadership is not about insults. He supports Raila as his successor in a move that shook Mount Kenya. The Jubilee Party splits. Ruto turns UDA into a movement, and the ground shifts, especially in Rift Valley and Mount Kenya. By 2022, Ruto is no longer an underdog. He's a front runner. The system is against him. But the people? Many feel like he understands their struggle. He becomes something more than a politician. His supporters, he's more like a symbol of hustle, rebellion, and resistance. August 2022. Despite the odds, the system, the state machinery, and even Uhuru himself, William Samoei Ruto becomes the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya by less than 2 percentage points. He beats Raila Odinga again, backed by the deep state and endorsed by a former president. It's a historical upset, and it sends a very clear message. Ruto is not starts acting like the boss of Mount Kenya. He speaks openly, challenges the president's decisions, complains about lack of consultation, even tries to build his own political wing within UDA, battling each other like enemies in the same camp. It started as a partnership of convenience is now a ticking time bomb. The scandals don't stop. Even with power, the corruption allegations persist. Kericho and Kakamega housing projects, allegations of ghost projects and inflated budgets, Ministry of Health tenders, rumors of insider awarding to Ruto-linked firms, appointment of scandal-tainted officials, individuals with ongoing cases are appointed to high government positions. When journalists ask these questions, Ruto dismisses them. Let them talk. We're delivering. But online, the mood is shifting. The people are restless. The Finance Bill 2023 and 2024 spark national outrage. Taxes on fuel, bread, digital content. Young people who once supported Ruto begin organizing. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere is flooded with anger. Most now see that he was just another dynasty pretending to be a hustler. Nicknames explode on social media. Zakayo, Kasongo, Farao, the tax collector.
Wait, Farao is wild, bro.
But he's still playing the long game. While Kenyans protest, Ruto is thinking long term, securing international loans to finance his legacy projects, changing laws to strengthen executive power, strategically positioning loyalists in institutions ahead of 2027. He's not playing for applause. He's playing for control and power. And real power is not loud. It moves quietly behind doors, in boardrooms, in budget lines, in laws passed at midnight. Ruto understands this because he was made by the system. And now he's the system. To understand Ruto is to understand Kenya. The contradictions, the hustle, the hunger, the ambition, the betrayal, the dream and the price of chasing it. Because William Samoei Ruto did not come from power. He fought for it, clawed for it, played dirty for it. And when the gatekeepers tried to lock him out, he built a new gate. They called him an outsider, so he made the outside the center. They laughed at his hustle story, so he turned it into a movement. They warned he was dangerous, and from what we see now, maybe they were right. Because this is not a man shaped by ideology. He's shaped by survival. He doesn't believe in systems. He believes in winning. He betrayed Raila, he betrayed Uhuru, and now he's betraying the people too. But he will do it smiling, with a Bible on one hand and a tax increase on the other. Because that's who Ruto is. He didn't change the game. He just mastered it. And now, he's on top. He's making sure that no one else ever plays it better than him. So when you hear his speeches, when you see the headlines, when another scandal breaks, don't be shocked. It's never about hustlers. It's always about the throne. And William Ruto, he's wearing the crown and tightening it with every move.
That's a double video. Too deep. Nini? Rudi?
Kasongo, Zakayo, dictator, thief.
Double video. That's an amazing video. Makofi kwake. Nini mvua?
In the late
Machachari kwanza nikataka kuona the rise and fall of sport pesa.
At their peak, SportPesa was the fastest growing and most visibly international brand in Kenya's history. From sponsoring Premier League sides, boxing, and even Formula One, to promoting local and grassroots sports, SportPesa quickly became the second largest company in revenue, only after Safaricom. In this episode, we'll look at how the sports betting juggernaut was founded, the deep-pocketed and politically connected multinational founders, the astronomical rise of the SportPesa brand, and its fall from grace. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more incredible stories from Kenya. To fully understand the SportPesa origins, we have to go back and see how these multinationals with different careers and backgrounds even came together. It all starts with Gerasim Nikolov, also known as Gero. Gero is a Bulgarian national who came to Kenya in 1999, where he worked as a croupier and worked himself up to later becoming the general manager at the Grand Regency Hotel.
Okay.
During this time, he also founded First Lotto Limited. The company ran the Toto 649 lottery in Kenya. The funding of this venture is alleged to have been supported by the Bulgarian mafia, who are acquainted with Gero. They paid for the buildings for operations, brought the machines, and facilitated the Toto 649 booths that if you're in Nairobi during the 2000s, you definitely saw one of these blue booths. The next figure is Gene Grand, formerly known as Krantov. Very little is known about him other than he worked in a cabin crew. What we do know is that he came to Kenya around 2006 and was said to go way back with Gero. Both had a sister each that were part of the Bulgarian cohort. During this time, Gerasim became associated with the next future founder, Dick Wadhika. This put him in a position where he was being funded by the Bulgarians and had help navigating Kenya's legislation through his political connections with the Dick Wadhika. Wadhika came from a...
Let's just not overlook how big as phone is. What the hell is this thing? This is in Simubili. This is a flip phone. Inataka tulituli side moja iko na funiko.
Humble background in Maringo Estate in Eastlands, Nairobi, and rose to become the youngest councillor and later the youngest mayor of Nairobi. He also served as an MP from 2007 to 2010 when his election was nullified and he subsequently lost his Makadara MP seat to political newcomer Gideon Bovi, also known as Mike Sonko, who came from nowhere to defeat both Dick Wadhika and Ruben Dolo in the by-elections, putting an end to his political run. One moment that sticks out during his reign as mayor of Nairobi was on one morning in 2005, hundreds of Kenyan charity sweepstake ticket sellers woke up to find their lottery kiosks demolished by the defunct Nairobi City Council. The demolition happened with the approval of Wadhika, who was the mayor, only for the booths owned by Nikolov's Toto 649 lottery to occupy their vacated spots. In the years after, Wadhika was occasionally spotted in Nairobi in the company of the Bulgarians. He told anyone who cared to ask that they were his business partners. Toto 649 eventually ended up closing due to mounting debt and other operational issues. Staff lost their jobs and no one actually ever won the Toto 649 jackpot. During this time, around 2011, Gerasim was in contact with a Bulgarian billionaire who had interests in the casino business and wanted Gero to open and operate it for him in Kenya. The casino is the Phoenix Casino in Hurlingham, which is a very significant location in this story. While operating Phoenix, Nikolov started having ideas about trying out sports betting. He pitched it to his business associate, Mr. Wadhika, and they decided to pursue it. In 2012, they founded Pevans East Africa Limited, which was the parent company for SportPesa. They laid the groundwork, and by 2014, it was ready to launch. However, they had some financial challenges. Even though Dekwadeka used to help out, they needed more capital. This is where Paul Ndongo enters the picture.
Investor.
Paul Wanderi Ndongo was the first Kenyan to acquire a forex trading license in 1995. He is a businessman and investor with multiple holdings in the NSE, where his investment portfolio once peaked at 4 billion shillings in the 2000s. He was also
in the 2000s, so 4 billion.
Well connected politically, being in charge of campaign fundraising for Jubilee. He was doing well for himself, and his old friend Dekwadeka told him about the venture. He didn't know too much about sports betting at the time, and he wasn't familiar with the Bulgarians either. But he was good friends with Dekwadeka and understood that he really believed in the idea, and he had already invested heavily in it and didn't want to lose his investment. He trusted him by injecting $1 million into the company, which greatly helped with the marketing at the very beginning. However, it still wasn't enough.
Marketing is everything.
An additional cash injection was needed. And just like the other times when he injected money into SportPesa, it was in exchange for more shares in the company. He eventually ended up acquiring 17% of the company. Company, which came with a position on the board. And Paul Ndongo eventually became one of the directors of SportPesa.
Okay.
He didn't really have intentions of being a director and was okay not being too involved, as he knew his friend Dekwadeka would secure his interests. Unfortunately, just a few months later, on December 14, 2015, tragedy struck. Dekwadeka was set to meet the Bulgarians for a meeting at the Phoenix Casino in Harlingen, a place where they were known to spend their time. Not much is known about what happened during that meeting, but Wadeka left not feeling well, checked himself into hospital, and was later pronounced dead.
Aliugua.
This is the part where Ronald Karauri enters the picture. Ronald is the son of a former MP and a high achiever in academics. Having scored an A from Mangu High School, he was to do engineering at the University of Nairobi, but dropped out to pursue a Kenya Airways program for young upcoming pilots, where he was accepted. He worked at Kenya Airways for 11 years, 6 years as a co-pilot and 5 as a captain.
Okay.
When Karauri was not flying, he actually enjoyed clubbing. He even had his own club, the Skylax Lounge in Westlands, where he spent a lot of his free time. He also picked up and liked playing poker. He was good enough that he wanted to compete. He liked Texas Hold'em, which is one of the most popular poker variants in casinos. His casino of choice, the one and only Phoenix Casino. Here, he met with Dekwadeka and the Bulgarians and sparked a friendship. This was still the early days in 2014, when they were still looking for potential investors like Paul and now Ronald. During their poker sessions, Karauri and the Bulgarians started discussing business ventures. Karauri owning a club and the Bulgarians a casino, he was thinking the venture would be an entertainment joint, but it was actually SportPesa. And Karauri saw the potential of the idea. He sold a parcel of land he had and all the money into SportPesa and joined the company. It was a very expensive investment, where 5 million shillings got you 1% and you needed at least 5% to join the SportPesa board. Karauri ended up acquiring 7%.
Shit. That 5 million yote.
After the untimely passing of Dick Wadhika, his 21% stake in the company was given to his widow, Asenath Wachera Maina, who is a very private.
Hizi shati uhura anatoanga wapi? What? Ujama closet yake naanga tu. Na kuna mashati zingine unique.
Asenath Wachera Maina, who is a very private figure who stayed far from the spotlight. Without Wadhika, there was vacuum in the company, which was filled by Karauri, who ended up being the CEO of the company. He quit being a captain to focus on SportPesa, a move that friends and family were very skeptical about, and understandably so. I mean, he was already doing pretty well for himself with literally a high-flying career as a captain. And just like dropping out of university to pursue being a pilot, it was yet another leap of faith that paid off. With Karauri at the helm, SportPesa went on an aggressive marketing campaign. The timing was perfect. M-Pesa's accessibility made mobile betting incredibly convenient, and SportPesa's user-friendly platform was a game changer. Aggressive marketing campaigns user-friendly platform was a game changer. Aggressive marketing campaigns, often targeting the youth, fueled the company's rapid growth. The campaigns included internet ads, billboards, and sponsorship deals of 50 million Kenya shillings each to Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards. Then eventually sponsoring the whole league and even buying the naming rights, which had the league rebranded from the Kenya Premier League to the SportPesa Premier League. They had sponsorships in Tanzania, South Africa, and internationally, especially in Europe. They even had a multi-year sponsorship with Premier League side Everton and partnerships with Arsenal, Hull City, and Southampton. Being the patriotic Kenyan and football fan that I am, I genuinely felt proud to see a Kenyan brand featured on such international platforms. Pesa organized the friendly matches that had established Premier League players like Wayne Rooney sharing the pitch with Kenyan footballers for pre-season matches. And who can forget when in a penalty shootout against Everton, when Sven Yida of the Kariobangi Sharks did the now viral fake hamstring injury celebration. The clip went so viral, the celebration was added in video games. The sponsorship deals went beyond the Premier League to F1, where they sponsored the Racing Point F1.
Hata kuna pesa kumbe. Ama nianze betting company hadi mimi. Gambling, insurance, betting. What?
One team. SportPesa
was kumbe SportPesa sasa ndo wana pop off. F1, why ndo sponsorship F1 inamaanisha nini wewe?
Becoming a global brand, and it acted like it. Their marketing and sponsorships were meant to compete with international betting companies like Betway or Bet365, as locally, they dominated 2/3 of the local betting industry. In the current 2024-2025 EPL season, half of the teams in the Premier League are actually sponsored by betting companies, which just goes to show how SportPesa was way ahead of the curve almost 10 years ago. However, with all the publicity, their critics also grew. The government started raising genuine concerns about gambling addictions and social problems resulting from SportPesa's influence.
$80,000.
President Uhuru Kenyatta didn't like the fact that money SportPesa was getting from poor Kenyans was shipped abroad to sponsor European sports. Understandably so.
Sports.
But despite the undeniable negative impacts of gambling,
Tusponsor hii kitu bana, tukule hizi pesa.
SportPesa was also supporting local and grassroots sports more than the national government ever did through the Ministry of Sports. So what went wrong? The answer lies in a perfect storm of regulatory changes, political pressure, and internal disputes that would ultimately lead to SportPesa's dramatic downfall. The trouble began brewing in 2017 when President Uhuru Kenyatta, concerned about the social impact of the betting industry, pushed for increased taxes on betting firms. The initial proposal was a staggering 50% on all betting stakes.
Because realistically speaking, 50% si mbaya sana, because hii pesa yote ni mnatupatia ndo turudishie mtu. If 100 people give 10,000, no. If 100 people give their money, and if 100 people give their money, and only 5 people win something, which is 10% of all what other people gave, it means hawa say wanabaki na 90%. 90% profit margins from zero. What a good
move that sent shockwaves through the industry. After significant pushback and public outcry, a compromise was reached. A 35% tax on betting revenues was implemented in 2018. Still a massive jump from the previous rate. This tax hike hit SportPesa hard. CEO Ronald Karauri argued that the new tax structure made their business model unsustainable. The company projected significant drops in revenue and warned of potential job losses and cancellation of sponsorships for local sports teams. In 2019, the Kenya Revenue Authority dropped a bombshell. They demanded 95 billion shillings in back taxes from SportPesa. It was an astronomical
95 billion. Why that one is in numbers? Currency, Kenyan shilling, corporate tax, withholding on tax on winnings, withholding tax, VAT, PAYE na betting tax. Penalties za kukosa kulipa, ndio. Interest. Hapa wako na interest ya 5 billion. What?
Some that the company vehemently disputed, insisting they had always complied with their tax obligation. This dispute, coupled with the increased tax burden, led to SportPesa's inability to renew its operating license, forcing the company to cease operations in Kenya in October 2019. The government's crackdown didn't stop there. In a move that sent shockwaves through the industry, several Bulgarian directors and employees of SportPesa were swiftly deported from the country. It was a clear message that the government was serious about reining in what it saw as a problematic industry. For the next 15 months, SportPesa's absence left a gaping hole in Kenya's betting landscape. Competitors like Betika seized the opportunity, capturing market share as Kenyans continued to seek out gambling options. But behind the scenes, complex maneuvers were taking place that would set the stage for SportPesa's controversial return. A significant restructuring of the company's ownership was underway, with a focus on removing 2 prominent board members, Paul Ndungu and Asena Twashera, the widow of the co-founder Dick Wadika. The board had been having internal issues without Dick, as the people who were involved through him felt like they were being excluded from the SportPesa operation, and decisions were being made without their input, and such decisions include the massive sponsorships or the money that was allegedly leaving the country, which sparked money laundering accusations.
Hii ndio sponsor timu kubwa kama Everton, unahitaji utoe pesa ngapi hivi? Nimeshiba sana, nimerudi, niko on. Kamera ngili hang. Niko on. Oh. Ngaze maji. Aya, wacha tusikie hizi 30 billion zilienda wapi? $30 billion. Hey kamera, jamani inatakaje?
Not many details about the board issues are public, but the fallout is said to be a nasty one, as it reached a point the two founders were finding out about sponsorship deals on the news like the rest of us.
What?
Simultaneously, some directors of Pevans East Africa, the original owner of SportPesa, allegedly orchestrated a covert transfer of the gaming business and brand ownership to a new entity, Milestone Games Limited. Rumors began to swirl that Milestone Games ownership included members of the Kenyatta family, raising eyebrows and questions about potential conflicts of interest and political influence. The tide began to turn in 2020 when the Kenyan government, facing pressure from both the betting industry and sports organization that relied heavily on the sponsorships, decided to remove the additional 20% excise duty on betting stakes. This tax removal was seen as an olive branch to the betting industry and paved the way for SportPesa's potential return. And return they did, but not without controversy. After a 15-month hiatus, the reopening of SportPesa was suddenly announced via a tweet by Ronald Karauri, catching many off guard. However, the company's comeback was immediately marred in legal challenges. A court order was issued to halt SportPesa's operation due to ongoing disputes over brand ownership and licensing. Paul and Arsenal were not involved in such a decision, neither did they agree to it. But it seemingly meant nothing, even if they held a combined 38% in Pevans. Yet somehow, in a move that raised eyebrows and fueled speculation about the company's political connections, SportPesa continued to operate despite the legal injunction.
Okay.
The ousted board members Paul Ndungu and Asinath Wachira didn't go quietly. They made serious allegations of what they termed as state capture of the company, claiming that members of the Kenyatta family were directly involved in the takeover. Paul Ndungu, the former chairman, penned a lengthy 40-page letter to President Kenyatta, detailing his version of events and suspicions. The accusations included illegal transfer of M-Pesa pay bills allegedly facilitated by Safaricom's M-Pesa CEO, Sitoyo Lopokoyit, who's married to Ronald Karori's sister, unconstitutional takeover by members of the Kenyatta family, and claims that SportPesa's current operations were illegal due to the outstanding court orders. But it is not clear how the issue stands right now. What's clear is regardless of the controversial return, SportPesa somehow magically remains operational, and the users of the platform don't seem bothered by the drama behind the scenes. The very market that SportPesa worked so hard to create and dominate was now being carved up by competitors like Betika and Odibets. These rivals benefited from a more mature market, with millions of Kenyans already accustomed to online betting thanks to SportPesa's earlier efforts. From dominating over 70% of the industry, it is very unlikely that they will be able to reach this level of dominance ever again. What's clear is that the landscape has fundamentally changed. The market that SportPesa pioneered is now a fiercely competitive arena with multiple players fighting for supremacy. And that's pretty much it for this one. If you enjoy the video, consider watching.
Hizo vitu serious nimeongelea sana. Wacha sasa tufanye kitu funny kidogo. Ongori reports. What happened to Machachari actors? Isipokuwa Baha moya amekuwa ni socialite na ule mwingine kuvanga dress na skirt. I have no idea where.
In the late 2010, Citizen TV unveiled a new show, a local drama television series which was to air every Wednesday, and for 10 years, Kenyans enjoyed this hilarious show that was dominated by young actors who at that time the most famous child actors in Kenya. Every child wanted to act like Baha, Govi, Almasi, Stella, but not Fatso. As the name suggests, he was fat and a bully. I've just mentioned a few. The list is endless. The show was Machachari, which came to a sudden end in September 2019 after Citizen TV cancelled its production as viewers were complaining about the age of the actors. They were getting old and were not Machachari anymore. Imagine watching a show meant for children and they're talking in bass. No wonder fans complained.
Sophia na Babji wameniacha hapa cause wanani trust na hii busy hapo.
And since then, fans have wondered what happened to the actors they supported for a decade. In this video, you're going to know the whereabouts of the famous Machachari child actors.
So ungefanya Machachari next generations or something. Keep the ball rolling.
Before you dive in, subscribe now. We're heading to 100,000 and that can't be done without your support. So, subscribe. Machachari was a popular Kenyan TV show that captured the hearts of viewers for years. But suddenly, the characters we grew to love disappeared from our screens. So what really happened to them? Baha was a naughty character in Machachari. This role was played by Tela Mbaya, and he was one of the lead characters in the show. He joined the show at the age of 6 and portrayed a stubborn, mischievous, and cheeky character, and sometimes hilarious. Baha acted as Govi's older brother in the TV show Machachari, always getting into trouble with his brother and friends. After leaving the show, Tyler focused on his studies and decided to take a break from acting and explore other opportunities. He took his talents to the internet and built an empire on his YouTube and Instagram channels. Baha's online presence has garnered a massive following. As of today, he has 765,000 followers on Instagram and 90,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. Baha was shooting and posting short drama skits on his YouTube page. One of the most notable series was Buddha in Short. He was also posting new music, and yes, he's an artist, but currently the channel is dormant and the last time he posted was 8 months ago. He also founded KM Pictures or Kamau Mbaya Pictures, a company that deals in visual arts and cinematography, and the company, just like his YouTube channel, is not in operation.
Wow. Alifambo. Wait,
he has been
gambling or something.
Brand ambassador and influencer for a number of local brands. He recently became a dad, welcoming a baby girl with his girlfriend Georgina, and they even tattooed their baby's name on the chest. Just like in the show Machachari, the life of Bah has not been smooth. He has been involved in scandals that have in a way ruined his reputation. He was exposed by nurse Judy, who accused him of begging money from Kenyans living in the US and using the money to bet. A few days later, Bah admitted he had a betting problem and decided to check himself into a rehab, hoping to beat his betting addiction.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say...
Kuna rehab ya betting? What? Huh? How?
Thank you, and I hope all goes well.
Despite the troubles, we are hopeful that Style Mbaya or Baha will rise and entertain his fans just like in the past. Govi was another popular Machachari star. He started acting 17 years ago at age 5. His real name is Malik Lemi. His talent in acting has taken him places. He first featured on Makutano Junction before auditioning for Machachari on Citizen TV, where he grew to become one of the most loved actors in the show.
Upenda kwenda kanisa.
Alikonga my favorite.
Kusoma vilivyo katika televisheni.
Vilivyo.
Na pia napenda huyu kaka yangu mwenye huwa tunaigiza na yeye.
But in 2018, Govi quit Machachari, and from that point fans never heard from him again. While fans were worried about his whereabouts, Govi was busy indulging in other things. He focused on school and pursued international relations and political science in university.
Yeah, I can say I was done with high school like 3 years ago. Sai niko university, nili take a pause, but nimerudi chuo. So I'm doing IR in Kwea Catholic University.
Wow.
In 2020, Govi got back on the screen for the
lock in.
drama series Kina. Govi was also preparing for another show called Mawimbi and became part of the cast of the new show called Pepeta, airing on Showmax. Not only is he a talented actor, Govi is also a director. He's not a victim of scandals. He's just made a few statements that some people have disagreed with, but at the end of the day they will talk and end up doing nothing. He once revealed that he's used to dating older women and sees no big deal with such a relationship.
Why do you prefer older women?
That's a really good question. So I'll take you back. I started working in 2005. My first project doing was Makutano Junction. So I have been having worked from
That is a really good question. PR
2005. Almost that's all my life. Nimekuwa because nilizaliwa 5 years before nianze kufanya kazi. Nilianza kufanya kazi nikiwa 5 years. I have been exposed to a lot of adults.
His career seems to be okay. In 2022, he confessed he was living a good life, and in a year, he can make up to 5 million Kenyan shillings. The least he can do is help his brother Baha. Remember, you can also help us by subscribing. So, subscribe.
and chill.
Unlike other kids in the
Controversial.
show who live in the slums, Almasi was living the good life, you know? He was a cool kid. His real name is Ian Nene, and his presence in the show excited fans, especially with his prowess in speaking the English language.
Well, what I can personally say is I don't think there's a difference between kids and adults. I think we all have the same ability, and we can all be able to do the same thing. So I don't have a problem if people are having high problems regarding...
After leaving the show, Almasi relocated to the United Kingdom or the UK, and just like in the show, he was a rich kid in real life. Scandals became part of his life. He completely changed, leaving many fans in shock.
Ain't easy.
He wore these outfits that many found
easy. Controversy, bana. Clicks and views.
Weird. But this was nothing as compared to what was to come next. Rumors spread that Almasi was in love with a white boyfriend, and I can't really say much. People were just speculating. Initially, Almasi was a Catholic, but he shifted to a different religion, a move he made after battling with mental health. He disclosed that he first suffered depression after he found out that his mother had cancer. At that moment, he was questioning God a lot. so he started to explore religions. A friend of his introduced him to Hinduism and took him to the temple, and while there, he received very satisfying answers. He has been painted as a drug user, mentally unstable amongst other words by people who judge his character, but according to him, he's just a young man in a quest to discover himself. He however hated those judging him from his dressing and said that he does not conform to rules and his dressing is his choice and he can wear whatever he wants and do whatever he wants to do. In a video he said, "I don't conform to rules, I wear what I like. I'll do what I like and nobody is gonna tell me anything. People will talk badly, but at the end of the day, I'm going to live my life." His days as an actor are gone, and he seems not to come back soon. We may see Almasi come back to acting or never get to see that side again. What you see now is a religious Almasi who is devoted to his religion, traveling to different places just to spread the good news. Some see him as a lost kid, but he's not a kid anymore. He can make his own choices. Almasi looks happy in pictures and videos that he posts on his Instagram page, and we hope that Almasi is also happy in real life.
Okay. No, not the real show.
Stella was another notable character in Machachari. Her real name is Natasha Ngegie. I hope I say that name right. Stella was a close friend with Baha and Govi in the play. People still remember Stella as the smart child from the slum and her father facing financial difficulties. In real life, Stella seems to be doing pretty well. In 2022, she was working on her own show, but she never got a platform. She did not reveal the details of the project, so there's little information about it.
Working on projects, but they're not yet there.
She even thought of getting into the music industry, but we never had any song from Stella, apart from the rap song she did in the Machachari song.
Stella ni still, ikikam kwa mao, nani kama Stella. Stella ni still.
Just like the previous Machachari actors, Stella has been in several scandals. Stella was accused of being a member of the other side, you know what I mean. But she took to a social media account and rubbished the claims, saying it's false and she's not attracted to women. She was also accused of dating Fatso, a fellow actor, but in an interview, she revealed she has never been a lover to Fatso.
I'm gonna leave this picture here and brew for a second. See why people should thought that?
And Fatso is just like a friend. Since leaving Machachari, not much has been revealed about Stella. She still acts and was featured in a local drama skit.
Go back. I don't understand makeup. What is this? Why do guys do overdraw it, then remove this lower part? I don't understand makeup. The rest of it is fine, but the eyebrow, I don't get it. I don't understand. Nasema mtu mmoja nimeona hivyo. Sasa inakani kama ana overdraw kutoka kwa eyebrows.
Not much has been revealed about Stella. She still acts and was featured in a local drama skit titled Everyone Dies, but she hasn't appeared in big projects on popular TV stations. But that doesn't mean she's doing nothing. There's still time and energy. It seems like Stella Wamao is still doing calculations on how she'll get back into the industry. Joy was Almasi's sister in Machachari. Her real name is Joy Ohon. She started acting at a very young age and is now all grown and living a quiet life. She's a daughter to gospel artists Rosie Ohon and Donald Ohon. Joy, however, likes to keep a low profile, only posting pictures of herself every now and then to update her followers on what she has been up to.
I'm gonna leave this here for a second.
And her beauty. Joy rarely posts on her Instagram page, which has over 94,000 followers, and she also has a YouTube channel where she posts videos doing talks with her friends and sometimes with her family. She is not really doing much. Fatso, just like the name, was fat and a bully who took advantage of his huge body to molest other kids in the area, especially Bad Govi, who got into trouble for no apparent reason. Fatso played the role like a pro, and this was made possible by the fact that he had a bigger body than the other kids. Fatso's real name is Matthew Owiti, and he has since grown into a reputable actor and writer. He also appears in local movie shows and actively posting on his social media, giving updates of his life to his fans. He featured in Vashita, which aired in Maisha Magic East. Besides acting, Fatso is a poet and an artist.
Oh, I need this shot.
But we have not really experienced Fatso as a poet or an artist. I guess that may happen in the future. Amongst all the actors in Machachari, Kabugi's star has shown the brightest. He was not as popular as Govier Baha, but that did not discourage him from achieving what he has today. Brian Kabugi played the role of Kenny, Baha and Govi's friend, whom they hung out together. He was a loved character and was indeed a gifted actor. After the end of Machachari, Kabugi resorted to the internet and produced the Midlife Crisis show, which was running on his YouTube channel, and now he has close to 13,000 subscribers and 294,000 followers on Instagram.
Nice.
Kabugi has featured in multiple shows with the biggest productions in the country. In 2018, he starred in a Zamaradi production film, Dreamchild. He then played Leo in Maisha Magic Plus hit TV show Kina, alongside big actors including Sanepei Tande and Jimmy Gathu. Kabugi is currently an actor in a drama series called Salem, taking the role of Tito, a show that premiered on Maisha Magic, and we hope that Kabugi will keep growing to higher levels and feature in more films.
Facts.
Machachari was a good show. The actors in the show inspired us, entertained us, and educated us for years. We don't expect a
What?
comeback. They are adults now, but Machachari will be remembered as one of the best shows to be produced in Kenya.
Childhood nostalgia vibes.
I have just mentioned some of the actors that were in the show. The show had many actors, and we can talk about them in the future. Thank you very much for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe.
Good reports. Never miss this. Akona video yake moja nimeona ina bohu yet. Na unajua sasa na mochingi hadi offline si kureact saa zote. Ingine sijaona. Kile ni follow na ndizo vitu zinafanya post. The law of blood ndio kwanza nione before. Nikorore. It's a grandpa. Acha, video ya mwisho. I promise.
The stories surrounding Grandpa Records are quite crazy and heartbreaking.
Mwaf.
Na hii podcast nimeiona mara mingi kiongelea naenda kuifollow sasa nisikize hata kama ni moja.
Figure man. Figure fuck you man. Like for real.
G like that man.
Grandpa ilikuwa label kubwa and then kuna tu some things zenye zili happen unapata management ndio haikuwa hapo unaona.
Exactly.
Running a stable in Kenya is one of the hardest things to do.
Exactly.
Because the moment you sign an artist, umekuwa baba yake, umekuwa mama yake. Yani ni kama tu immediate, ni kama tu umekatia dem Nairobi.
There's a lot of stories to cover, like what happened to Visita. Is Dogo Biggie still roaming the streets of Kisumu? Why did Grandpa Records stop making hits? But let us first go way back and find out why Grandpa Records was the biggest record label in Kenya.
Like, I'm just asking, you guys wrote it.
Maybe 8 months.
You see, yeah?
Before you fall off.
Hiyo fimbo inachapa watu.
Fimbo. Chapa watu.
As mentioned, Grandpa Records was one of the biggest music label in Kenya in 2013. In fact, it was once labeled the largest in East and Central Africa. This was before Diamond even had Wasafi. Grandpa Records revived the Kenyan music industry and gave Kenyans new hit songs.
Industry ya Kenya revive every few years. Maintain too.
Almost every week. However, constant conflicts with their artists made some of the artists to leave the label, and others just left under unclear circumstances. The label had artists like DNA, Ken Razy, Visita, Pizzo Dizzo, Majirani, Sosun, Ngangalito, Dogo Biggie. These are too many to mention. It was like a school of artists. The success of Grandpa Records did not happen by miracles. It was made possible by one man called Refiga, who had deep musical knowledge and connections cutting across Africa. Refiga or Noah
Across Africa. What?
Yusuf was known for his signature walking stick, or we knew it as Fimbo. When he was coming up, social media was not that dominant like today, and artists had to depend on record labels to push their music. So Refiga curated a good plan to help artists push their music, and in 2009 he started Grandpa Records, a label that kickstarted the music careers of many artists in Kenya.
Exactly.
Initially, Refiga was an artist, and it is said that he was the first African artist to join YouTube in 2006.
Oh, Jeff, did you know? I'm the first artist to be on YouTube in Africa.
Says who?
What? Yes. Kimbele mbele yangu ilinifikisha huko.
Tell us how. And those days, how were people uploading on YouTube? You send your video to San Francisco?
Yeah, no way. You see, I'm this kind of a person, like, when there's an opportunity or there's something new.
I need this kind of microphone.
I always want to try it out. So when I had this YouTube, I wanted to try it out. I tried out. I did not know I was the first one till last year. That's when I knew.
And if you don't believe it, this is proof. He posted this song called Kadumala in 2006 when YouTube was still new.
For its prime.
It was not a perfect song, but we understand it.
Terrible, but it's part of history, so it's gonna be remembered.
It was 2006, and Mr. Nice was also making such kind of songs. Anyway, when Refiga started Grandpa Records in 2009, Grandpa Records was located in the outskirts of Kibera, and this was to become the biggest record label and also home to the finest artists in Africa. Refiga's focus was on music, production, and management, and his strategies worked. According to DNA, who was also part of Grandpa Records, he worked with Refiga because he knew he was the man who was good at distribution. And Refiga was indeed a magician, because Maswali ya Polisi became an instant hit.
Tumemaliza Maswali ya Polisi, tumeshoot video Kibera. Then Ref of course sasa amecall watu wake.
Refiga did not just make Maswali ya Polisi a big hit. Almost every club, radio station, brothel, matatu was playing songs from
No. Explain yourself.
From Grandpa Records. Contrary to what some may say or think, Grandpa Records was not a one-hit wonder. This record label was on fire in the year 2013 up until 2015. It was churning out big beats with their Kapuka club sound. One of their biggest songs at the time was this song called Fimbo ya Pili, Fimbo Chapa, that featured several artists. After its success, Grandpa Records decided to release another song called Fimbo ya Tatu.
I'm stealing that idea. Your visuals, your video.
Dawa ya Moto, which now featured new as well as established artists like Kendrazy, Visita, Waire, Dufla Diligon, Sosun, Chief Moses, and Bien from Sauti Sol. Another hit song is this track Kamua Leo, which was a remix of the song Twajichanganya Kamua Leo by Coast Star Kiddies. In the remix now, other artists jumped in like DNA, Waire, and Amilina. The delivery by all artists was short and punchy, and the dancers also did a good job. Despite the fact that the song was big, there were allegations that Kiddies did not make a single coin from the track. Other big songs that were produced by the label was Quality Ka Hizo by Pizodizo, Mapepo by Visita, Tempo by Dufla Diligon, Bilikimo Mkora by Kendrazy, Kukumbukeko by Majirani, and many other hit songs. After dominating the Kenyan music industry for quite some time, artists began deserting the stable, and some artists' lives changed for the worst. The once big record label was scrambling to get attention, and the Fimbo was not caning anymore. Way back in 2014, the allegations that the stable's management was extorting and exploiting artists. One of those artists is Dogo Bigi, an orphan and a young artist who featured in the song Chapa Fimbo ya Pili. This
potential iko hapa. Muna killing talent za Kenyans kwa nini? Sasa kijana sasa angefaa kukuwa anatuambia nyinyi vijana you broke. You broke. Soche basi ataseke. Acha apata na shida za watu wako na pesa jamani.
It was not the only song Dogo did. He also had other songs like Pesa and Moyo Wangu. Dogo Bigi was spotted by a journalist called Joab Mwaura, who took him to Grandpa Records to record his song Moyo Wangu. Despite the success of the song, Dogo Bigi did not enjoy his time at Grandpa Records. He came out claiming how the stable was underpaying his artists and threatening them. He went on to call Refiga a liar, as Refiga made a statement saying that his sponsor Joab was using the boy to solicit for money from well-wishers. Refiga also claimed that he had an artist who was ready to pay for Dogo Bigi's school fees, but Dogo refuted the claims and said Refiga never offered to take him to school, and added that he was the one paying for the school fees with money from shows and a little help from Joab. In the same year, Kiddies was the first artist to ditch the record label after a bitter fallout with the owner of the label, and in 2018 gave out details of what happened during his stay at Grandpa Records at an interview on the 10 over 10 show.
You started out with Grandpa Records, and
usitaje Grandpa.
No, I have to ask the question.
No more.
Because a lot of people have left.
Yeah.
And Razy, Visita. I mean, there's been like an exodus. So what are your thoughts on that?
So that ni kwamba tulikuwa tunapewa chai bila sukari pale. Shida tupu.
Nini?
Yaani ulikuwa unapewa chai. Unaona? Bwana chai ya rangi inakuwaga chungu, si ndio? Ikiwekwa sukari inakuwa imevaporate. Kwa hivyo Grandpa Records nilikuwa napewa chai bila sukari.
Nini?
Sawa bwana. Now, I was the first to withdraw myself from that record label. I was the first.
So you can just withdraw yourself from a record label. Hakuna contracts zinakaaje maju?
Kwa sababu I've been in this industry for more than 16 good years, since 2002. So niliona mbali, nikatoka, waliobaki wakasema Mswahili wa Mombasa ana njaa. Wao wakatoka wakanipigia. Nikamwambia bro vipi? Uliniambia nina njaa. What's wrong with you bro? Umepewa ile chai nilipewa? Welcome to Urayani.
Karibu grounds.
Then also ditched Grandpa Records under unclear circumstances. In an interview with Willie M. Tuva, DNA revealed that he wanted to go solo. Grandpa CEO Refiga said that DNA was not interested in renewing his contract, but his songs were still going to be released as per the contract. Another storm hit the stable in 2015, when Majirani came out claiming he has never made a penny from his song Hivyo Ndo Kunaendanga, and the song even featured Kendrazy and Visita. In response, the figure emailed scanned copies of an agreement between Majirani and the stable, showing that actually the proceeds from the song were to be shared on a 50-50 basis between the label and the singer. According to Refiga, Majirani's beef is that people acknowledged Kendrazy and Visita more, and that's why he was bitter. Majirani will later apologize via his Facebook page and even saying that he respects Refiga because he made him to be Majirani. He will later drop another song called Tukumbukeko. Grandpa Records continued facing more and more troubles as Kendrazy and Visita and So Soon also left the record label, and they went ahead to do a diss track called Toroka, which was a diss song to Grandpa Records, as Visita is heard saying huko tulishatoka, walishafunikwa, sasa wanangorota, meaning that after they ditched the record label, it went into slumber and eventually died. According to Kendrazy, he faced many challenges at Grandpa Records, but never provided exact details. On the other hand, Refiga said that he fired Visita his second in power because he was lazy dishonest, and unreliable, something that Visita said was a tactic to tarnish his name. Visita later gave out his reasons why he quit the label, saying the real reason he left the record label was because he felt oppressed while at the stable. He also said that many labels were pretending to sign artists, yet they were not genuine. Visita was not done with Grandpa Records, and in December 2016, he made this video cussing out all the artists that were signed to Grandpa Records.
Tuheshimu industry mazee. You know what? DNA, Ken Razy, Kiddies, everybody. I'm not gonna do my thing.
Grandpa Records was not happy with this video, and in the same month, the record label threatened to sue him. First, the record label claimed Visita had an alleged debt of 134,000 Kenyan shillings. The record label also issued a demand letter to Visita to cease and desist from making statements regarding the record label and its creative director, Refiga. Fast forward to 2023, Kasipul, who was also part of Grandpa, revealed why Visita and Kendrazy music careers ended. According to Kasipul, Visita and Kendrazy were too proud after they became famous, and this resulted in their downfall.
Visita na Kendrazy walikuwa at some point walikuwa disrespectful. Aje walifika kiwango ustayle waingia kichwa. Wakaanza kuvimba kama kiboko. Nikaambia Refiga watoto toa mkono wawache. Na kweli tangu watolewe mkono ndugu yangu wanaona shida ndugu yangu. Wakiwa Grandpa walikuwa wanavaa viatu mpya kila siku. Sasa hii boxer haziko zinanuka.
Nini?
Visita, as expected, responded and said this about Kasipul and Oga Obina.
Na angaona hao vijana wawili wameketi chini baada ya kunyonya vizuri wanaongea juu yangu. Kasipusi anajua box yangu inanuka. Kasipusi juaje? Ulijuaje Kasipusi? Ogaodinya.
Anyway, Dufla Diligon and Jean
That's totally childish.
Ideal also followed suit and quit the label. But it also refused to reveal details as to why they left. Dufla surfaced in 2018 during this interview on 10/10 and said he quit Grandpa Records because his contract had ended.
Yeah, naongelea tu kunihusu kwa sababu unajua siwezi jua wengine kila mtu ana reason yake. Mimi as in contract yangu iliisha na hatukuwa na plan yote ya kurenew contract. So na unajua lazima maisha yaendelee. Si ati kusema Grandpa bado imeisha, Grandpa bado iko anaendelea na kazi. Ni contract yangu iliisha na hatukuwa na mipango yote ya kurenew, so nikaendelea mimi. Yes, haya.
So ni contract iliisha, no.
Contract ya hakuna ubaya.
No problem.
Wanataka drama, ndio wapate views. Kama watu chui.
Yes, haya.
Hakuna beef
for the blogs.
For the blogs.
Yeah.
Dufla was desisting from tainting the image of Refiga and Grandpa Records because this was the record label that molded him and boosted his musical career. This was evident in 2015 and 2016 when Dufla dominated the Kenyan music industry with his hit songs like Tempo and Biringisha, which were all produced by Grandpa Records. Jinedil also kept silent for a while, but she revealed during an interview with Mpasho in 2018 that her contract ended and she was not ready to renew her contract with Grandpa Records.
My contract ended. Really? Yes. And okay. Are you gonna keep it that simple? Because I know there's more to that, you know? Because we've also seen
Remember, Gina Ideal also had a big song called Rede, courtesy of Grandpa Records, which had a remix featuring Waire. After Jean Ideal and Dufla left the record label, now many people claimed that it was dead, but Refiga strongly dismissed those claims. He added that Grandpa Visions is bigger than any individual, and whoever feels bigger than the stable was free to walk away. The mass exodus of artists from Grandpa Records was a shocker, and Refiga became a subject of blame and criticism from his own artists and a section of the public. The drama and accusations did not stop Grandpa Records from launching new projects. Refiga still opened a branch in Rwanda as a way to enlarge the label services to artists and other partners across East Africa. Refiga even rebranded the recording label, and in 2017, Grandpa Records acquired a new face. During the rebranding, Grandpa Records unleashed a new logo, a new slogan, and the label's vision. A year later, after relaunching the record label, Refiga switched to real estate. On Instagram, the record label's account posted the new houses they were renting. The apartments were called Grandpa Suites, but it was not clear whether the houses belonged to Refiga or it was a partnership. In 2019, Grandpa Records faced a major setback when it was robbed and 1.5 million worth of equipment was stolen. The break-in happened.
So kamera mbili, microphone tatu na what? Microphone mbili, kamera tatu na lens 4. 1.5 million worth of equipment. Worth of equipment sasa ni vitu gani? Kama ni recording things.
Happened at night, and the thugs walked away with recording equipment that took the label years to acquire. In an interview on Citizen TV, Refiga said it was time for him to transition to other things. He had spent 23 years in the music industry, and he felt that it was time for him to quit. He was now in the process of bringing a new team on board to take the record label to the next level, as Refiga was taking part in charity activities in Kibra.
Mimi technically nilichukua break kutoka kwa muziki 3 years ago. Technically, but officially nili announce last year.
Yes.
What happened is ndoto ni nyingi.
Kweli.
Ndoto ni nyingi na nimekuwa kwa industry. Niliingia hapo nikiwa 17 years old. Nimekaa kwa hii game almost 23 years old.
Ala?
Yes.
Nyome iskuma.
Yes, nimekaa kwa hiyo game sana na nimefeel I've contributed my 1 cent in the industry. Nimeweza kutoa industry from this point to the other point.
The fact remains, huyu jamaa kuna game alikuwa anajua inacheza. Sasa hapa kosa kulipana na kosa na kusana na watu ndo.
There were speculations that Refiga was taking a step back from music to concentrate on a political career, which was true, because in 2022, Refiga was running for a member of parliament seat in Kibera. In a statement, Refiga said his aim was to deliver to the people of Kibra, but sadly the people of Kibra ended up voting for another person.
Mbona kile mtu akitaka kupopa fanaenda ngatuku kwa MP wa Kibera? Kwani kuna kanga nini Kibera? Hadi mimi niende huko. What? Wasani tu wote MP Kibera isipokuwa bahali watakuwa madhari kwa mtaa.
Anyway, away from Refiga, what happened to the artists of Grandpa Records after quitting the record label? Let's start with DNA, Mr. Dreams. After quitting Grandpa Records, DNA resurfaced in 2018 with a diss track called Kapinye, which targeted DJ Pinye. In the song, DNA raps about how DJ Pinye let the industry down as he was arrogant and he sabotaged the careers of many Kenyan artists. When the song was released, it got people talking, some praising the song while others
3K views, really? 5 years ago, really?
Claiming the song was unnecessary because at that time, DJ Pinye was irrelevant, and this was just an attempt by DNA to make a musical comeback. Fast forward to 2024, where DNA released a freestyle called Aha. DNA is also a content creator, and he often released a freestyle called Aha. DNA is also a content creator, and he often posts content on his YouTube and TikTok accounts. Our next artist is Visita. Now, rapper Visita ended up broke and homeless, and this is according to multiple interviews the artist was doing online. For instance, during this interview with Tuko in 2021, Visita opened up about his homeless situation, not forgetting how broke he was. According to Visita, things were not easy, as he was kicked out of his house after failing to pay rent for 5 months, a move that left his wife and kids out in the streets.
Matime, so kaa tunadai kulala, ngo tunazitoa, tunazipanga hivi, alafu si wote wawili tunalala kwa hii kitu, tunajifinya hapa, tunadoze hadi asubuhi.
Visita blamed Mzazi Willie Mtuva for his troubles, saying he is a pretender, and he also refused to play his music on radio.
What did William Tuva do to you?
Me, I don't like him. I don't like Tuva. Period.
What did he do to you?
He's a pretender. Yeah. And I don't like him. I don't like pretenders. I don't like someone who calls me and tells me, you are the biggest producer East Central Africa. Don't tell me that if you don't mean it. You get? And then brother went ahead, akachukua my laughter. You see that laughter? Yeah. And my performance track. Akaenda akaregister Skiza. So mi napigia Mtuva, the first thing I hear is me. You get?
And you're not aware.
I'm not aware.
Anyway, Visita is back making music, and he has a new song with Kendrezi called 24 Strong. And it is a good song. Let's talk about Kendrezi. Kendrezi, on the other side, has been releasing music regularly. He even released an album called Better Man in 2023, which featured artists like Swat Matire, K4 Kanali, and others. And just like the husband, Sosoon is also making music, and this year she was in this cypher called the Number One Cypher, which had several new artists like Alma, Babi, and Tulia. Another artist, Majirani, seems to have taken a break from making music, and he ventured into business. As per his Facebook posts, he now works as an agent connecting workers with prospective employers. Kiddies still makes music, the latest one being this track called Nakungoja, which was released in 2023. He also performs in major events and parties. Dufla Diligon is also making music, and he has a song called Arufu featuring X-Ray, which was also released in 2023. And in 2021, Dufla and KRG also began a show called Ofrada, which was pretty entertaining and a good show. Finally, out of all the stories of the artists who quit Grandpa Records, the story of Dogo Biggie hurt the most. In case you don't remember who this guy was, Dogo Biggie was featured in the song Fimbo ya Pili. He also had other songs like Moyo Wangu and Amani Kenya. In 2022, this video surfaced online of Dogo Biggie looking drunk in the streets of Kisumu, and it is alleged that Biggie was wallowing in poverty. And I hope that Dogo Biggie is currently doing okay. And thank you for watching this video. Let's meet on the next video.
Common Ongori W. Nafaa nianza comment hivyo. What? Oh, sleepy. Anyway, that is all that I have energy for today. I must go edit these things now. Thanks for watching or not watching. Catch you on the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this shit.